Okay, so hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Today I wanted to do a sort of what's in between like a first impressions and an official review of a fragrance that is pretty new to me. This was received in PR, but it's a brand that I'm always really excited to get to know their new releases, and that's Juliette Has a Gun. Juliette Has a Gun is a niche brand that has really grown on me. This was sent over to me in PR by Twisted Lily. I love Twisted Lily as a brand. You can always try out any of their perfumes as a sample before purchasing any full-size bottle. You can also, of course, use my code at all times, Charlotte10, to get 10% off. So don't ever feel like you have to go and purchase a full bottle. Just get the sample if this sounds like an interesting fragrance to you and save some money at the same time. So if you're interested in this fragrance and it sounds like something you might like, I'll leave a link down below for you to check them out. And of course, you can use my code Charlotte10 at checkout for 10% off. So this fragrance right off the get-go, right off the bat, the title of it, Ode to Dullness, did have me a little bit curious. I was a little apprehensive. Dullness is not necessarily something that we equate with a great fragrance, but at the same time though, I did kind of understand what I thought they were probably getting at, which was kind of like beauty and simplicity, which it does sound like that is what they were after for this fragrance. But yeah, it is supposed to be kind of like the beauty in the mundane and the simple things. On Fragrantica, it says, Ode to Dullness celebrates the apparent banality of everyday life and the poetry of small nothings, simplicity in art, and the ordinary and sublime. So it's not supposed to be boring, it's more like beauty and simplicity. So, you know, it is a more bare bone fragrance, and if you look at the notes, it does look like a more bare bones fragrance. It is a sandalwood fragrance, but actually the notes on Fragrantica are not totally accurate. So the notes listed are, at the top you have freesia, which is a very clean white floral, with badiane, which is really just another name for star anise from what I gather. In the heart you have sandalwood and cashmere flower, and in the base you have tonka bean and musks. So this fragrance is very powdery and creamy at the same time. The tonka bean is powdery, the musk is very present in this fragrance, and it is quite creamy. The sandalwood in here is quite creamy, and you definitely get the florals in this fragrance, and the star anise is just adding a really nice warm spicy touch to the fragrance. So I did get a lot of similarities to other fragrances. With this fragrance, which I will share with you, but I just wanted to share the packaging with you. I always like the packaging. I find it very sturdy and really good if you're ever moving or anything for your fragrances. This is just like hard foam, and I always like the bottles of Juliette Has a Gun. They are minimalist, but they also feel luxurious at the same time. They are beautiful. You have the beautiful cap with the name on the top. They all have a different sort of color to them. The older bottles tended to be opaque. I much prefer the newer translucent bottles. It's just like a little thing that I appreciate with perfume bottles. I like when you can see the liquid inside, and every bottle has a different sort of color. So this is a beautiful sort of more muted, like rainy day vibes, sort of ombre effect with that blue, indigo, purple, reddish purple, you know, like it's just nice. It's a vibe, it's a mood, and it goes very well with this fragrance. So when I first tried this fragrance, I will say it didn't smell exactly like I thought it would smell. It was quite nice. I enjoyed it, and right away it kind of brought a smile to my face. It's a very, I'm going to smell it again right now. I've worn it a few times by now, and it is quite nice. It reminds me of a few other fragrances, which I am going to share with you. My boyfriend, my partner, said that he really enjoyed it without my prompting him. He's the one who just said, oh, I really like what you're wearing. That's really nice, which he doesn't say about every fragrance, so that does say something. This is a more intimate fragrance. This is not a loud fragrance. I don't think you would expect anything other than that with the name, you know what I mean? It is a closer to the skin sort of fragrance. It's a beautiful everyday fragrance. I think that the musk in here right away reminded me of the musk in Musc Invisible also by Juliette Has a Gun, which is a low-key, bare bones, powdery musk, white floral fragrance that I really enjoy as well. They are very similar. Namely, I would say that the musk in Ode to Dullness is the same musk that you have in Musc Invisible, But in Ode to Dullness, you also have that very warm, enveloping, subtle spice from the star anise, which is definitely very fall and winter appropriate. So Musc Invisible is definitely more of like a year-round clean vibe sort of fragrance. While Ode to Dullness can be that too, it is a little bit more multi-layered than Musc Invisible. And it also has the addition of a sandalwood that I find very similar to the sandalwood that is in Sunny Side Up by Juliette Has a Gun. So it is a very creamy sort of sandalwood. So while there is a lot of powderiness that comes from the tonka bean and that fluffiness from the musk, it also has a creamy, milky sandalwood. And I guess the cashmere flower adds to that sort of huggability of a fragrance, or like that fluffiness in the fragrance. I'm not surprised to see that there's freesia, because I definitely, at first spray, definitely got that white floral element from the fragrance. But it wasn't just any kind of white floral. It was really definitely like a clean laundry, clean linen sort of white floral fragrance from it. So it makes sense that it's freesia. So generally speaking, this is a really nice everyday fragrance. Definitely could be a signature scent. Definitely appropriate for someone who's not necessarily wanting to, you know, have a fragrance that overtakes the room, that is saying a lot. It is a more subtle fragrance, but it's a fragrance that's going to make you subtly smell very warm and inviting and good. There are some other fragrances that this reminded me of at first sniff. It reminded me a little bit of, in no particular order, aside from those two other Juliette Has a Gun fragrances, it reminded me of Zadig and Voltaire, This Is Us. But then when I went and picked this up and smelled it from the bottle, right away I was like, okay, no, it's not at all the same. They do share that sandalwood in there, but this has patchouli, and it's definitely a lot more vanilla dominant than the Juliette Has a Gun, and this doesn't have that warm spiciness. It's not nearly as warm spicy as Ode to Dullness. It also reminded me, this might be a little bit closer actually, it reminded me a little bit of Lumière Blanche by Olfactive Studio, which is a musky sandalwood that does have a warm spiciness, but this one, the warm spiciness comes from the cardamom, and they both have that rainy day sort of vibe to them. Though I would say that this one smells a little bit more synthetic, if I can say. Yeah, I would say that Ode to Dullness definitely smells more floral than Lumière Blanche. And while they are both, they're both definitely unisex, they're not exactly the same, but they definitely have similar vibes in terms of like that rainy day, cozy, cuddly, cashmere sweater sort of vibe to them. It also reminded me a little bit of KKW, Nude Soleil here. Not at all the same. It's literally just the similarities come down to the fact that this is also a warm, spicy sandalwood fragrance, but they're not really the same. And actually this one reminds me more of some other sandalwood fragrances, but it just came to mind. This one definitely doesn't have that floral touch that the Ode to Dullness has, and it just doesn't really smell the same. This one smells less creamy. It's less of a cozy fragrance, and it's more just woody. This one, I would say Ode to Dullness is just all around a little bit more cozy. And that cozy aspect I did find also similar to, not in scent, but in vibes, to Diesel Plus Plus Feminine. Though, again, as soon as I picked it up and smelled it from the bottle, they don't smell the same. They do have a similar sort of synthetic quality to them, though, that I don't know how to describe other than that. They have a similar sort of synthetic quality. I do think that the Ode to Dullness has a synthetic quality that you may or may not enjoy, you may or may not notice either, but that synthetic quality I do find present in Diesel Feminine Plus Plus. And again, another fragrance that I found a little bit similar, finally, was a very cheap, affordable fragrance called Curve Crush by Liz Claiborne. This one is a milky, warm, spicy fragrance. It does have milk in it. It has some warm spices in it. I forget if it has like clove. I think it's clove or cinnamon or both. They don't smell the same. And this one does smell a little bit cheaper, to be honest. But it does have that similar warm, spicy, milky sort of vibe to it. Very cozy and cuddly. Nice for when the weather is getting cooler. I think that if you already have Musk Invisible, you might find it redundant, even though they don't smell the same. You might have one that you prefer. I do think that I would wear them in similar situations. I'm not sure yet which one I prefer. To be honest, I'm still not sure. I still need to wear it a lot more to figure that out. But I do like this fragrance, and I think it's really nice this time of year. It's also a really lovely fragrance to wear in the daytime that won't disturb another fragrance you might put on in the evening. So it's a really great base layer sort of fragrance. Overall, really nice fragrance if you really enjoy a musky sandalwood fragrance with a bit of like a clean vibe to it, but that's still warm and spicy. It's not like a fresh, zesty, summery fragrance. You know, this is really going into the cold weather sort of vibes. I would say that in terms of projection and sillage, it's quite moderate. Juliette Has a Gun is all around pretty moderate for me. I would say that their recent Lust for Sun, which I really enjoyed all summer long, is a little bit louder than this one. So in terms of sillage and projection and longevity, I would say that the projection is low to moderate. I would say the sillage is moderate. You will get whiffs of it and wafts when someone walks past you with this fragrance. You will smell it. You definitely will smell it if you lean in closer to someone as well if they are wearing this, but it's not going to fill a room. You're not going to be probably bothering anyone when you wear this, and it's definitely closer to the skin. That said, I definitely smell it on me for a good 4 to 5, maybe even 6 hours on my skin before it dies down to a skin scent. So it does stick around still. It does have good longevity for me, which generally speaking, all the Juliette Has a Gun fragrances for me, even the ones that are maybe lower in terms of projection and sillage, they do have good longevity for me, and they're really good base fragrances. Like if you wear them throughout the day or as your day fragrance, they're really good to be layered underneath other heavier fragrances that you might wear if you're going out or you're going out in the cold or to a party or something like that. So yeah, overall, I am enjoying this fragrance. I'm really enjoying this fragrance. I think that if you already have a lot of sandalwood fragrances, maybe sample this first to make sure it's not redundant. But if you really like the idea of a creamy sandalwood with a musk and a fluffy musk and a clean white floral, and you don't mind something that smells a little bit synthetic, and by synthetic I just mean just like it sounds like. It's something that honestly, if you haven't smelled lots and lots of fragrances, you might not even know what I'm talking about, and that's fine, because to be honest, I didn't think of describing a fragrance as synthetic smelling for a long time. I'm not sure that we all use it the same way. For me, it quite literally just means there's something that smells a little bit artificial to it, just like the name would imply, synthetic. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times I really like a lot of synthetic fragrances, but sometimes that can bug some people. So I would say this is worth sampling. I enjoy it. I am going to keep wearing it. It is something that I don't need to think too much before putting on, which I like about this fragrance. So, is it something I would wear to go out to a party or something? Probably not. Is it something that I would wear if I just wanted to smell good but I didn't want to stand out too much? Yes. Is it something that I would wear to work? Yes. Is it something that I would wear when I want to wear a perfume but I'm not sure what to expect from the setting? Also yes. And is it something that I would wear just at home, chilling on the couch, or with my partner, or going to bed, or when I need a little pick-me-up? Also yes. So yeah, if you really like the idea of a clean linen, clean laundry, with musk and creamy sandalwood vibe with a warm spiciness to it that does evoke a little bit more of a fall vibe, then definitely check this one out. This is Juliette Has a Gun Ode to Dullness. And remember, you can always use my code Charlotte10 at checkout at Twisted Lily. So Juliette Has a Gun Ode to Dullness. Please let me know down below if you've smelled this fragrance, what your thoughts are on it, and also if you're interested in smelling it. It hasn't been out for very long, just a few weeks. Those are my thoughts on Juliette Has a Gun Ode to Dullness. I hope you enjoyed that. Also, I thought that this video was going to be coming out after the next video, basically. But I did want to just say thank you to everyone who replied on my last video. I am going to say this in my next video, but I just wanted to quickly mention it here as well. Thank you so much for all of your replies on my last video. That was a vulnerable share, and I was very touched by all of your responses. I will give my first take of thank yous in the coming video that you will see after this. But until we see each other again, take care of yourself, and we'll see each other very soon. Bye.